for us guys that love to get up early in the morning and listen to Uncle Pete, we are here. Happy Good Friday, I guess it is, March 28th, 2013. It's about 5:30. Been waiting around, but oh, Bob showed up. Okay, so Pete, we're going to start a series here, huh?
Yes, we are.
This may be a month-long series, and it's all about WebDev Loopers. So it's all yours, man. Thanks for doing this.
Morning, everyone. So it's kind of good to get back to Uncle Pete's corner between me and Arnold. Me moving and Arnold's having some personal life issues. It's been almost a month, I guess, huh? But we are back on a weekly schedule now, and like Arnold said, we're going to spend the next at least 3, probably a little longer than that, weeks talking about WebDev Loopers. And we're going to get into some pretty complex advanced stuff. Before the day's out this morning, I'll give you a preview of some of the more advanced stuff that we're doing with some loopers. But today we're just going to kind of do a brief overview of loopers. And you know, my first confession is I got a little busy this morning and didn't quite get as prepared as I could. So you know, we're going to get to see behind the curtain and see some of the magic as it happens this morning. But anyway, let's talk about what the heck a looper is anyway. Well, if
let me remind people that there's a full screen button on the top right corner of the shared pod there, and if you click that, then you can really see his screen clear. It expands over the chat and the attendee list. Thanks. Sorry about that.
No problem. So a looper, if you go out and look at PCSoft's help, tells you it's a control that allows you to repeat controls. That's, you know, typical PCSoft English. What it means is it allows you to set up several edit controls. Now, we're not just talking about a regular edit control, but pretty much all the other types of controls inside a looper, and then repeat those for every record of your database, and you can also programmatically do them. The best examples of that are e-commerce sites. If you look at Amazon or anything, when you search for a product, you know, let's pull up Amazon real quick and take a look here. Arnold, quit trying to copy down my account names. This right here is a prime example of a looper control. Not something you'd really want to do in a table. You know, tables are not very attractive when you're trying to do attractive stuff. So instead, this is a combination of, you know, an image control. That's a new star control. I can't remember what they call that, but we can now do those with WebDev 17.
That's ratings, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what they call that, but there is a control that does that now in 17. There's a combination of statics here, and as you see, it just repeats for every record in the database it found. Which that's the prime example of a looper. Now you can use loopers for a lot of different things, but that's the prime example of why you use loopers, is when you're trying to do that type of an interface. Like I said, tables, you know, switch back over here. That's a table. Not exactly the same rich interface. Now you know, I could stick an image in here and a couple other things, but it's never going to look as attractive as that. So that's one of the reasons that you use loopers instead of tables. Now, loopers are available in WinDev, but as you notice, I said that the topic was about WebDev Loopers, and why is that? Well, because to me, I don't run into very many instances where I use a looper in a Windows program. I do occasionally, but it's usually for some very odd specific reason. But the reverse of that, on the WebDev side, I rarely use tables. Tables, to me, are a Windows concept. They're not a web concept, and I just don't think they lend themselves well to the web. I use them occasionally for just quick and dirty stuff, but for the most part, my web interfaces do not use tables. They just there's very few instances to me where a table feels natural on the web. So for the most part, I use loopers instead. You know, like everything else, that's not a hard and fast rule. I use whatever is appropriate. I just find that 90% of the time on the web, I'm using a looper instead of a table. So let's go take a look at some WebDev stuff here. This is yes, sir.
Pete, so would you consider like the simplest looper on WebDev is a table, or not really?
You know, they accomplish the same thing. I guess the simplest one would be edit in place. You know, with a WebDev table, you really don't have edit in place, but if you make it a looper, you can have edit controls, and if it's a small table, you can have your edit controls do your editing and have true edit in place, like little mini forms. That's probably the simplest example.
Okay.
So this is our typical WebDev table here. This is an Ajax table, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you know, it works nice. You know, I spent all of 30 seconds building this, but again, to me, it just does not feel like the natural interface for the web. You know, now if I'm just throwing up a list for some reason, I'll use it, but other than that, I don't use them that often. So in typical WebDev fashion, they give us the ability to convert this to a looper quick and easy. If we come up here to control, and it's not under refactoring where I would expect it, it's under the swap menu, and we can swap a table to a looper. Now, notice there is no the other way. You can't swap a looper to a table, but you can swap a table to a looper. And as you see, that turned it into 3 edit controls. And notice how we have this square box. That is one looper cell. But then when I click on it, notice how we have all these little boxes represented. That is showing me how many each row of the looper, because the easiest way to think about it is a looper is kind of like a table, except you can have more stuff in it, so that row is bigger and much richer. So, you know, these are the rows of the looper. Now, if we go into the description of the looper, see here it says maximum number of lines per page. If I turn that to 4, Now you see that that box stops right there, and we're only going to have 4 rows. Now, if we run this thing, we're going to notice a couple of things. First is, I have no data. Well, why is that? Well, because loopers use what are called attributes. And what are attributes? Well, in a table, we would actually just set up, let's go back over to our table. In a table, we just set up, okay, here's the column and where it's coming from. You know, we don't really have much more control than that. Well, with a looper, we're actually adding controls in here. So now we have to, you know, and if you're used to working with WebDev, you would normally come into that edit control, come down here to link, and link that to a field in your table so that you could do, you know, page to file and file to page. Well, when we try to do that to a control that's inside a looper, we get this little message box. Edit the file link of a control found in a looper, modify the link of the attribute attached to it. Again, perfect, well-formed Fringlish. What they're telling us to do is come up here. And this is the description page for a looper. And what you do is you add attributes. And I'm going to do some simple ones first. I'm going to say the value of that is product name. And description. And it represents that control. That's what it's linked to. And it's price.
So do you always start off doing your looper by setting up a table first, or you go?
No, I rarely do.
But this is a way to convert it, right?
Right. Yeah, if you have a simple one out there already. Normally what I do is I start out with a kind of like a form, and then I drag all that into a looper once I have the layout where I want it. So now that I did those attributes, you see that now we're getting data into our fields. So at this point, it's very similar to the table was. You know, nothing magical here. We just linked up those fields. And to be honest with you, I don't know that we've got save logic. I think we have to write our own save logic. I don't really use them like that much, but I don't think that actually did anything magical out to the database that quick and easy. So, could be wrong. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not exactly a save control there.
But it is saving it.
Really?
Yeah, you see, this is the magic of WinDev. Let's change that price to $15. Okay. Now, if we rerun, that saved it out to the database.
Wow. Did you tab off that field, or?
Yeah, I tabbed off that field.
Okay.
But as you see, There is zero code there. How's that? It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
No code.
Exactly. So anyway, that's just a general overview. Now, at this point, you're saying, well, you know, yeah, don't really see much of a difference between that and doing it with a table. Well, let's start getting a little fancier. Let's move this over here. Now, this edit control, we can actually come in here and say it's not text, currency. Much nicer formatting there. Now we can shrink that up. Now it looks like we can get about 8 rows on there. Oh, wrong page. Yep. There we go. So now if we run it, okay. But you notice the scrolling of the looper, that is still not a very natural web look, is it? Well, what you normally do on the web is you have what's called a pager. And we happen to have a pager control we can add to this. Make some room for it, apparently. This down.
So the 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Ah,
we come into that. Oh, I keep clicking the wrong button. I think we have to change setting to get rid of our scroll bar there.
So they don't do that automatic just because you move it to Ajax, huh?
Maybe it's, you don't. Oh. It's working, but I was expecting it to eliminate the scroll bar. I don't use pagers that often. Again, sorry, I'm not as prepared as I am. There's really nothing here unless perhaps we turn off. I think we go to classic is what we do. Yeah, there we go. Now we're more the standard web interface. We use the pager to move between the pages instead of scrolling. So a little more of the standard type web interface there. So that's a pager control, and again, you saw that was pretty easy. Now the difference is I'd had to turn the looper to classic mode versus Ajax mode. Ajax mode makes it work more like that, you know, table type control with scrolling in it, where classic mode gives us more of the old-fashioned style. Okay, so that's the basics. Now let's look at why loopers are cool versus. Let's add an attribute. And again, how we added attributes, we click on our looper, get into the description. Okay, so there's our attributes for, and notice when I drop down this, we've got caption, value, color, background color. We've got a lot of different things that we can do here versus just show the value. You know, in a table, pretty much the only thing we can do is each column is the value that's going to be represented in its column. A looper can have a lot of attributes for just a few fields. So let's add another attribute for price color. And it's on that same field, but this time we're going to adjust the color of it. Now, if we come into the code, see what that does for us. Oh. Okay. Actually, I'm using a real dark theme here. It's a little harder for you to changing the caption. Interesting. Not exactly what I was expecting there. I was expecting to change the actual text. Let's change the background color instead. Let's go that route. Red. Okay, now we see that anything that is under $15 is in dark red. Well, actually, it's everything. Okay, because we need to use the there instead. Well, yeah, there we go. Now, the reason that I had that problem, and we should all be used to this at this point, edit controls are, no matter how we have them formatted or whatever, they're really strings so it was seeing the dollar signs and so forth in that. So when I was trying to compare it to, is it less than 15, it was always coming up 0 when I tried to make it a numeric comparison. So I had to compare it to the file field instead. And again, we would probably do this a little different. We'd probably have a static here, say we don't want them to change the, if we're just doing a display here, what we would have instead is we'd have a static here for price. Call this price. Now if we come into this, notice our static. Notice our column price disappeared. So now we've got this, and change the color of it. We want to make that a little bigger text. Let's bold that. Bold point. Actually, also. So there's a little more representation of what we can do with attributes. Now, let's say we don't want to show prices for anything less than $1 for some reason. We could have another attribute for the visible property. Now we can say if price less than 1, attribute visible equals false. We had someone.
Better make it $2 because you don't have anything less than $1. Well, oh yeah, there you got one.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
So as you see, what attributes are doing for us is allowing us to kind of separate out that logic. We have 3 different attributes all affecting that same field. And as you see, there are quite a few things exposed. We could actually bold it. We could change its width. You can make it, the status would let you make it read-only or not. So not every attribute is exposed to you. One of the ones that I needed that is not exposed was I was trying to do strike-through for something. Let me show you one other attribute that is pretty cool. Let's say...
Hey, Pete.
Yes, sir.
So the attributes you have right now is for a controller. Can you have an attribute that is for the entire looper row or whatever you want to call it?
No, the attributes are for specific controls.
Mm-hmm. So the whole record is not considered a control. So you can't do one just for like hide it.
You would do that. Well, you would do that just general coding. Yeah, this is actually the name of the looper. So if you wanted to hide the whole looper, you just do. And I've got it still called table because we converted it.
But that's for the whole table rather than the row, right?
Oh yeah. Well, if you didn't want a row, you would you just wouldn't include it in your selection criteria.
Mm-hmm.
That would be how you do that. All right. What I was going to show you is let's add.
Yeah, because I was thinking more grayed out or something, or.
Okay. Well, yeah. You would do that by your. You can affect the. I don't know that you can affect the background of one looper row. How you would do what you're talking about, and I've done it. I would put a cell in here, and then that cell now becomes a control. So now I can affect the color of that cell.
Okay. So you just put everything in a cell. Okay.
Yeah, it's either that or you put it in a super control and affect the super control. One of the two.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's the other way. Yeah. Back to what I was going to do next.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well, the thing you'll notice is that we don't have that attribute exposed. You can only affect the attributes that are exposed to you, and that isn't, we can do bold, italic, underline, can't do strike through. But there is a trick that we can do, and it's using a little HTML code. Because they give us this HTML before and after. Okay. Now we are seeing. Oh. Now let's say product price 12. And I forgot the DL, isn't it? Oh. Should be before. And if I remembered my HTML correctly, notice how we have strike throughs on the things that are priced at 12 now. Now that's a pretty simple example, but it's a good, valuable foundation thing to understand because I have done some pretty complex things with the HTML before and after. basically it lets you inject any HTML code into your page, and I've used that to do anchors so that I could have jump tos to a specific row, all kinds of different. When I run into a roadblock, I can usually do something with the HTML to get me there. So that's the start of you're seeing how attributes let us do some things that are way beyond anything that we could do in a table control. And you're also seeing how we're getting a lot of attributes for, we only have 3 fields, but we have a heck of a lot of attributes here. I want to jump back and answer Bob's question. Yeah, the column headings, I could drag them out of here. Of course, this is just a simple example. I generally don't do loopers like this that represent a table, because at that point, I'm kind of defeating my purpose. Generally, I'm doing a lot more richer interface when I'm doing a looper. But if we come back over to Amazon again, back over to our Amazon example, notice that they kind of use labels where appropriate, but not everywhere. Of course, they're not using edit controls here, so that's the other difference. So it's just whatever works for you. I mean, you could definitely come in here, move that, and then put a static. And achieve something similar to a column heading that way as well. So it's all about what you're trying to accomplish, but definitely doable. So before I move on to do a little preview of some of the searching, would be pretty much similar to any QBE in a table. Pretty much works exactly the same. We would just affect our query, and which would change our results. I'm going to give you a quick preview of some of the loopers that Andy and I are working on, and a couple of our current projects that will show you just how far you can take loopers. Before I do, the other thing I wanted to talk about, though, and this is something else we're going to get into in the coming weeks. You see, we had 3 controls on the screen, but we're already up to, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 attributes for 3 controls. And we've also already gotten ourselves 18 lines of code for row display. So you can see how this could get pretty unmanageable pretty quick when you get into trying to do something like that Amazon page that we were looking at. There's a lot of attributes going on controlling a lot of this stuff. Well, what I find pretty handy is I've started creating classes to manage the looper, and this is an extension of the stuff that Andy has forced me to start understanding of the file classes. And yeah, exactly.
Kicking and screaming like a 2-year-old.
None of it worked. But one of the methods, and he's shown you this stuff several times with tables, is when you come in to your content, one of the options for a looper, just like a table, is a variable. And if we use an array there, each of these attributes can be represented in that array. All that logic can set all those other attributes at the same time, and now our code is encapsulated with the data access instead of being on every row display. And once it's done, as we move around the looper and make other adjustments, all those calculations don't have to be redone. They're already done. And that's one of the things we'll see in the coming into a preview of what's to come and scare the hell out of you. Is Bob the only one that can't hear me, or can no one hear me? Yeah, no, I'm fine here. How's it now? All right, yeah. Must have. One of the neighbors must have.
I ain't scared.
Yeah, well, maybe one of the neighbors just decided to update his porn collection or something. All right, so what I was asking was, before I jump into the preview stuff.
Can you hear me?
Do we have any
coming in and out? I thought it was
questions
my
on
side, but
the generalities of a looper?
Could be. Must be that new location of yours. Yeah, that's good.
It's because he's having to use that share.
It definitely can, and I'll show you a pretty scary one. Yeah, I'll show you a pretty scary one here shortly. You have to create the attributes and descriptions.
Anybody?
You have to.
You could go crazy with all these.
Just like a table, you know, you have to set up the attributes just like you would columns. But other than that, it's all coding. Yeah. But
do you have to do it
there's ways
like that, or can you
do clone controls?
Can you write hand code somewhere?
Not really what you're talking about.
You can describe this looper.
All right. Well, let's look at.
I mean, it just feels like there's a lot of clicking. Mm-hmm.
Damn, Andy keeps updating that API and slowing me down.
Okay. Cool. So you're gonna time to tease.
Okay. I knew there was something going on. Okay, first, yeah, it's pretty nasty. First, an homage to
slow down for Pete,
our last Uncle
module in
Pete's
there.
Corner. If anyone's got a strong enough memory to remember that far back,
it'll add another
remember
5
our
seconds onto the speed,
tree
and then all of a sudden
table?
it'll be fast for
That
a
look
little
familiar?
while, and then we'll start all over
There's
again.
our tree view table.
It's the aggravate Pete method.
So let's open one of these tools up, and I will clone it so that we can do some editing.
Yeah.
All right. So this is.
This sounds like it's a good.
Our,
sounds like you're doing a good job.
You ought to see
this is
the
simple interface. And the only thing that is a actual looper here is right here. All of these checkboxes are a looper. Each row of this is a looper. Notice how this one has a checkbox for perforations, but this one has an extra field for inputting a value. So is this one, but the caption of that value is different. So now you're starting to see how loopers can, you never would have thought that was a looper, but sure enough, this is all database driven. This isn't hand coded, so we can go add a record to the database and prompt for something else in here. But to the user, it just looks like part of the edit screen. And where that's really nice is if we pick a different product that doesn't have as many options. Notice our looper went away altogether because we have no options in there for the booklet. Not sure if any of our other ones have been configured yet. Oh, I believe that would be our other buddy hasn't done all his configurations. All right, so yeah, he's not on, is he? So yeah, exactly. So there's a more of a real life example of where I use a looper to give a rich interface and make my life easier down the road, because this started out as, I need an option for, I can't remember what it was, chipboard and shrink wrap and paper band. Those were the only 3 options we would need. They were hard coded in. Yeah. Never going to need any more options than that.
No, he's not.
3 weeks later,
it's like the 3
we're up to half a dozen options, and I made it database driven. So that now when they need to add options, they just add them. So let's go take a quick look. We're not going to get deep into it, but take a quick look at what that looks like in the actual designer. Yeah. There's that looper right there. You see there's a checkbox, the caption behind the checkbox, and then a quantity field. If we look at the attributes, see we've got 5 different attributes controlling that, because we're controlling the value of the check, its caption, whether the quantity is visible, its caption, and its value. And this is all coming out of an array because we're using a class to manage the thing. So there's one example of how much deeper we can get into loopers. And now we'll bring out the big daddy. And the first thing that you'll find at some point, you'll say, hey, I need a parent-child looper. I need an invoice and the invoice details represented in a looper. And you'll say, well, can I do a looper in a looper? And you will be told, no, you can't. Well, you actually can. It's just makes your head hurt really bad.
That's right.
That's a pretty accurate description, isn't it, Andy? Yes, yes, it is. This is the designer, and everything in there, that is all a looper. Now let's run this thing and let you see what this thing looks like when it runs, because it doesn't look anything like that.
No.
And we'll open up one of the. Yes. Yeah, this is Looper Nirvana.
Pretty accurate. It is an absolutely accurate description.
All right, now there's our looper. And what this is, as you see, that very much looks like I have a looper for forms and then a looper for lots within that form, doesn't it? But again, you can't do a true looper control and a looper control.
That's
but
a
you
looper
can do what are called a break in a looper. So this is the looper is actually on lots, and it breaks
like you did an overdose on loopers, man.
And that creates a header and a footer for me that I can have extra controls in. And this thing starts getting, the next thing I'm going to do is a grandparent child version of this thing. But my head hasn't quite quit hurting from getting this one to work, so we're not quite there yet. But let's go look at how many attributes that little lovely looper has. All right, Arnold, you ready to start counting?
He's doing a grandchild next.
I believe. Yeah, I believe it's a buttload. At the very least, it may be an actual ass load. I'm not sure, but it's a lot. Yeah, exactly. But again, this one, and this is where I'll give you a brief preview of. There is the class managing this entire looper, and I mean it's doing a lot of different stuff. It's actually managing the updates and the tables and all kinds of things. But
there has to be a better way.
What we'll find as we get into this is a lot of the attributes of that looper are really just properties of this class. So the class is automatically managing some of the attributes for us. So that's how far we're going to take this thing, Arnold. So when you asked this morning, is this like 3 weeks? Can you really do that much on loopers? I can do 3 weeks on this looper. In fact, I believe I did 3 weeks on this looper. One of the other challenges that we'll discuss as we move along, combos and loopers are a bit of a challenge because the list of values that you can have in a combo have to be the same from row to row. So, like, say you're listing, we'll go back to the Amazon example. You're listing T-shirts, you have a combo for the color of the shirt. And shirt 1, it can only be ordered in red and black, but shirt 2 can be ordered in
I think you worked
red
on it for at least 3 weeks.
Blue. You cannot make that looper, or I'm sorry, that combo only show red and black in one row and red, white, and blue in another row. Because the initialization of that combo, remember, it's really only one control. Even though we're seeing it multiple times on the screen, it's really only one control. So the initialization of that control, you can't get all those different values in there. That's what this is. And if you look really close, you can see there's a little edge between that edit box and this. I have created a faux combo that gets around that and some other challenges that I finally beat PCSoft into submission. You also on this header, and to go back, we were talking about this looper. That everything there is the header, everything here is the footer, and then this little section in here is the actual detail section of the looper. Combos absolutely do not work in the detail section or the footer section of the looper when we add breaks. No matter what I do, that combo box, when I try to drop it down, there are no values in it. It only works correctly on a header. So I needed a combo box in the footer, so I created a faux combo box that looks pretty close to an actual true combo box. You know, it's kind of you know, Arnold and Rob, you know, with their little demo they did in Nashville, showing us how it's almost like an iPad app, but not quite. My combo box is almost like a combo box, but not quite. But gets the job done. The other advantage to that is, because of the way I'm building my combo box, you could have different selection list for each row. So we'll get into that as well. So as you see, lots of stuff that we can get into loopers. And this one's also got code to be adding rows and deleting rows. So lots of different things that you can do with loopers. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what this project has been for me. You know, when we started it out, I really hadn't done much with loopers, and now I am, you know, the looper. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have forgotten more about loopers than you'll ever know, as my grandfather used to say. Yes, Wolfgang. I have tried different things, and some other folks have talked about it. But yeah, you've got code on each line, but the way it works, you can't initialize. Even though you can have code to initialize it, it winds up initializing every one of them. Our friend over in Australia. Looper. Can't think of his name right now. No. The guy with the gravel stuff. the quarry. Yeah. Anyway, he struggled with that combo last year because he was trying to dynamically have different options for what type of rocks went into the truck. Wow. And inside a looper, it just was not possible to do.
Pete?
And I really hope they fix that with it. I haven't seen anything that says that's fixed in 18. I don't think it is.
Asking me.
Like I said, right now I'm beating them up pretty hard on this whole Armstrong's just absolutely not working, period, when you're doing breaks.
Oh, that's New Zealand. That's New Zealand.
So that's yeah, which that may be something that also helps clean up some stuff for us. So there's our little brief, you can't see my air quotes, but they're here, overview of loopers and a little preview of what is to come. If you're not completely scared off, return next week for step 1. And be sure to, any questions and things that you've struggled with, loopers. There you go. Yes, Stephen Hodge. Yes, that is indeed who I was talking about. But any questions that you've ran into or dealt with on loopers, especially with WebDev, be sure to post them in the comments on my blog, and I will try to incorporate them into the next couple of weeks.
We'll take some good Tylenol and ready to go.
That is the easier way.
Stephen Hodgman.
Yeah.
You're talking about Stephen Hodgman.
Yeah. I could not have done this one without a class. Yeah. A much simpler example, and Alan's not on this morning. He probably had to go to work. I built a frac page for Alan's site, and that is a much simpler example of a looper.
Well, I don't even want a master's degree in loopers there.
And we'll use that example. I won't jump you into this one. I'll use it.
There has to be an easier way.
Well, the class
typical frac
makes it easier. I'll be honest with you, has what made that easy. It would have been a nightmare trying to do it by hand.
Answers that you can drill down into.
Okay, and I'm looking forward to that.
Use a looper to build that. So that's a definite good use of a looper with breaks. And I'll show you how we did that. That'll be one of the examples that we go through of how to use breaks with loopers. It gives you a much richer interface. I was just saying it. Loopers give you the opportunity for a much richer web interface. Like I said, I just trying to make my web program look like a Windows program just always seems like the wrong approach to me. So there, I'll climb down off my soapbox and let somebody else speak.
Okay. Wow, I'm looking forward to this series. This is cool.
One thing.
What a build-up.
Mid-April. Oh, go ahead.
For sure.
One thing also, because I know I hadn't talked to Arnold about this yet, so I might as well let him know now in front of God and everybody. Mid-April, we'll have the first.
Oh, good.
We'll have the first layout for the DEF CON. It'll be an open session. To go over everything that's going to be done. Some of the features for the software for this year is the same thing that we're going to be looking to utilize in our chat and everything else, which will include a complete news group type functionality, chat room for different sections, because right now we got one chat room for everything. And what we'll do is we'll put together chat rooms for different sessions, as well as you can have your own chat room just like you do in Skype. We will have a repository which allows you to take snippets of code or snippets of deal and create a local repository for yourself. and FTP upload and download. And the last thing is that what Pete and I have been looking at, and we may have found a couple of APIs to include that will allow presentation and screen sharing. So if either one of them works out nicely, then what we will be doing is showing how, we will show how to integrate in a API, either web service. For one of them is a web service, the other one is more of a .NET type thing, and integrate in the ability for us to go ahead and do presentations. They're not the high quality that we do here, so I mean it's not going to supplant what we're doing. But it's good for the short term, I want to show you how to do something type thing, and screen sharing as well. So if someone out there like Wolfgang was helping Bob the other day, I guess it was, you know, they can screen share directly from the program. The other thing is it's all going to be based off of web services. It's going to be cool because we're going to base the whole thing off of web services. And the last step is that there will be methods to subscribe to have a local database of everything that's happening, so we can actually have a distributed database around the world. It's going to be some cool features. It's going to be some really cool features. It's going to expand what that chatterbox was originally. Database. Yeah. Well, the idea is that you'll have a central location which is web service based. Okay, then like Australia or South Africa, which, you know, even though it's web services so far away that basically they don't get as quickly the information as we do, they can, like Ben will set up a hyperfile SQL down there that will subscribe to it, and as things happen, it will update his hyperfile. Okay. So now everybody in South Africa can, instead of going to the main chat room, they will literally subscribe to that local one instead.
We're going to interface with several. And we're going to interface,
you know, other than sending a message, all the messages sent to the main one, but basically the local subscribed one is the one
that's really important today.
And what it should do,
there are guys that you know, have become internet millionaires that really have not.
It also means that if you can do that, then literally in your office you can subscribe to it and have it in your own hyperfile SQL
APIs and web services that are out there.
It'll use hyperfile client server replication.
Why recreate the wheel if somebody else $30 million.
Yeah, breaking up.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover
hyperfile client server. All he does.
Hyperfile.
All he does is aggregate other APIs.
So we're going to use the replication tools of hyperfile.
That's a nice little $30 million paycheck.
We're going to use web services.
So
we're going to have full-blown chat rooms.
Integrate with those APIs.
We're going to have an API for screen sharing. That's a 90% chance right now. We're going to interface with several web services, yeah. Right. Well, that kid did it just the other day. The $30 million kid did it.
They're just mashers, man.
Hmm? Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be posting that up. It'll be an open deal. We'll go over. Yes, it is. Absolutely is. So, like I said, we'll be posting that up there, getting it open, all of the feature set that we're going to build into this thing. And bottom line, it's going to happen because we're going to move this entire chat room and everything we're doing into something that's going to be 10 times more useful. And that's going to be useful for us. And you will be able to do offline reading as well as online reading, and be able to post a message in the news group area more like a news group instead of the online kind of stuff. There will be an online version of this whole thing too. In other words, you'll be able to go onto the web.
What Arnold was really asking there, Andy?
Things like that.
Arnold was really asking there was, are we writing a support mechanism for his customers?
On the tablet version. So we're really going to be running the gambit of everything that we can do, and it'll be a nice tool. It'll be a very nice tool. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Are you going to use it for your?
It's definitely very.
Am I going to use it for my business?
Similar to.
Well, exactly you can. Right off the bat, when you're talking about doing that, is there's nothing wrong with setting it up to where you can, as a business, say, I would like to have an instance of this for me. Okay, so that way my internal customers can do it. Everything that I've got going. And not be part of that. I'm going to code it that way, but that will not be the first release. Okay? Because bottom line, we just don't have the time. Yeah. No.
My help desk.
If you want your help desk, I'm not saying that it won't be coded to do that. It will not be out in the first release, because we got a limited amount of time between now and August, and we've got to be able to do all this.
Hey, no problem. Look forward to next week.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, because I bought into a PHP type of help desk, and it'd be interesting